right, everyone, welcome back. This is session 7 in the Raise More Funds module. And now we're going to finally get to the last part of our fundraising journey map, the people. So we've gone over passion. We talked a lot about process. I could have talked a lot more about process. I promise you I'm trying to keep this short. But now we're going to go into people. So we talked a little bit about in the check your attitude under passion about your people, your staff, and who's going to go and have these conversations with major supporters and be your spokesperson and talk at events. And you want to make sure you have high passion folks, positive, gritty, loyal folks who do this. But now I want to talk about people as in supporters. So the first thing I want to call your attention to here is this little pyramid I drew for you, okay? It's not super high tech, sorry. I literally just did it on my own. But I wanted to kind of show you the process. I talked a lot about low dollar supporters and how we want to have a kind of a large base of low dollar supporters because we're going to grow those people up. They're going to go from low to mid to high. And that's exactly the process you want. And they're never going to get to this high level unless you start down here. The vast majority of major donors that any organization has, or even if you look at legacy donors, so people that maybe weren't even high dollar donors, major donors, became legacy donors, they came from down here. People who were giving $20, $50 at a time, who built great affinity for the organization and the cause. So you want to make sure that you're treating your low dollar people well, because your low dollar people today could be your high dollar, your major gift givers tomorrow. So you have to make sure when we talk about your process, your thank you process, you're not leaving out these low dollar givers. You also want to think about your mid-level donors. So I talked a little bit in the last session about, your moves management system and how you're going to track your relationship that you're building with your major dollar donors, because these are going to be relationships with big dollar folks, the folks that can really make substantial gifts to your ministry. But what about your mid-level folks? This is something that I started really paying attention to a couple years at Students for Life. Folks that haven't totally qualified for your high dollar level, no matter whatever you call your high dollar gift, whether it's $500 or $1,000. But what about the people who are just shy of that? Your mid-level giving folks. They're demonstrating that they're on their way, right? Most of the time they've gone from low to mid, and so they're on their way up here. They're going. But what are you going to do to kind of give them that nudge to upgrade them? And so you have to think about that as well. So something that we've done in our organization is we kind of have a mid-level caseload. We have our high dollar caseload, our moves management system caseload for anybody who's working with high dollar donors, building relationships, and we have goals of how much raised for that caseload for that year. But then for the mid-level donors, we actually developed our own mid-level caseload. So there's a lot more people on it, so they get less attention. But they should be getting quarterly phone calls. They should be getting an extra special, thank you, a handwritten thank you. You've got to find ways. If, the principal of the organization is going to be traveling and meeting with a high-dollar donor in an area, call the mid-level donor. Set up a meeting with that person, because you're already going to, whatever town it may be to have this meeting. You might as well get there an hour earlier and have a meeting with a mid-level donor, because when you meet with that person, the chances of them upgrading is going to be high. I can tell you from firsthand experience, the folks that I've been able to get meetings with, even meetings where I didn't even make an ask for support, those folks become some of our largest supporters over the years, because they meet us. They know what we're doing. They feel personally connected. They see my passion. They learn about our success. They learn about our, value proposition, how we're, taking the villain head on and we're saving these victims. So you've got to get these meetings, and you might as well meet with your mid-level folks if you're going to be in the area, as well as your high-level folks. One thing you can do if you've got a lot of folks who It may be too time consuming to do a meeting with every single person. But what you could do is you can reserve the back room of a restaurant and say, hey, we're going to have a lunch, casual lunch. I'll be there. Love to meet with you and love to connect you with some of our other supporters in the area. And then that's a great way because they're getting connected. They're getting an added benefit to coming to meet you. They're going to get to meet other potential friends who are interested in the same mission as they are. It's less, it's also like, that's in public, right? It's less intrusive, I guess you can say, of saying, I'm going to come to your home. Would you like to meet with me? Some people get very, I don't know if I want you coming to my home. I don't know who you are. Oh my gosh, this person's going to ask me for money and I'm not going to have it. So doing a restaurant, and having where there's other people around, like a group date almost, can be a little less stressful for that type of supporter who maybe hasn't really reached that capacity for a high level gift just yet. So I put down here the types of donors. So you're going to see event donors, occasional donors are going to be the low dollar donor. Then they're going to move up. They're going to be those regular donors, people that give every month to your mail or every 2 months when you send out the mail. These are the folks that are going to sign up and become reoccurring monthly donors on your email. Major gifts. So those are going to be your people that give your top gifts to your organization. And then legacy gifts. Those are your planned giving. So those are folks that leave you in your will, leave you in their will. They give you their home when they pass on. And as your organizational, fundraising gets more sophisticated, you're going to continue to grow that legacy planning. In fact, that's something I've been working on with Students for Life is, I was meeting with one of my mentors the other day and he said, Kristen, now is the time. It's not too soon. Now is the time to start planning this. And so, but that takes time and you've got to figure out your pitch and how you're going to talk to your supporters about this and now offer this additional option of not only can you support us now with a one-time gift, a monthly gift, but you can also include this in your will. And it's actually very simple. All you have to do is bequest you in their will. It can be very simple. All right. Life cycle of your donors. So this, I want to draw your attention to this because this is how your donor life cycle will go. Especially with major donors, okay? You're going to identify. So you're going to prospect them. You're going to see them at an event. You're going to grab their name from an annual report of another organization. Maybe they donate in the mail or via telemarketing for the first time, or maybe they came in from an email prospect. Then you're going to qualify them. This is for major donors. So when you get them on this caseload, right, you're going to qualify them. You're going to do some research, figure out what's the value of their home, their real estate. You're going to look at the FEC reports and see how much are they giving? Are they maxing out their political contributions every year? And then you qualify them. And you realize, yes, this is a person who can give a substantial amount of money and maybe even more than they currently gave. You can run them through a screening system, as I mentioned earlier, a system like Wealth Engine, which will come back and they'll actually, it's not a foolproof system by any means, trust me, but they'll come back and say, okay, here's where we think this donor can be. This is how much we think they can give. And they even do a ranking system. So you identify, you're going to qualify, and then you're going to cultivate. That's that relationship, that moves management, right? You're going to build up that relationship with that support. You're going to have that meeting. You're going to make a phone call. You're going to send them a text message regularly. You're going to write a thank you letter. I can't overemphasize the importance, though, of the meeting. The meeting is the big thing in major giving. The meeting. You got to get the meeting. Okay, identify, qualify, cultivate, solicit. This is when you're going to make the ask. Could be at the meeting. Could be after the meeting. I would prefer you do it at the meeting. Maybe it's not at the first meeting, though. Maybe it's the second meeting. Because the first meeting might be very good for you to find information. You're kind of like a sleuth when you go in. You want to figure out, why are they giving to you? What's their personal history? A lot of folks who are major supporters, they give to organizations that are very personal to them. So maybe they've had a personal experience. You want to find out. You want to find out what programs that you offer, that you put on for those you serve, that interest them the most. Because that's the good way. The next meeting, when you come into the next meeting, you can have already a proposal, a pitch written that's about lining up what their passion is. All right. So you're going to solicit. After you solicit that donation, you get that donation, you're going to steward that donation. You're going to follow up with that person, that supporter, and let them know how you've used their donation. So send them a quarterly report of that staff person that they're supporting. You're going to keep them informed. There's a newspaper article or a TV interview. Hey, Joe, did you see this? We were just on TV talking about this. Thank you so much for making this possible again. You're going to show them that you're a good steward of their investment. And then you renew and you upgrade. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. You're going to renew their support. You do not want them to be one of those folks that does not renew, right? You want them to be one of those folks that gives you again in the next year. And you also want to upgrade them. You want to increase their giving next year. Next thing we talk about just quickly, donation types. So folks will give one-time donations. That's a mail, a lot of email, at events, monthly giving, and then they can set up reoccurring donations. That was my tip earlier when we talked about online. Make sure you have that monthly giving option on your landing page so folks can check it, make it easy. Don't make it so they have to go to another page. And online, you never want to have supporters having to go to multiple pages. They want to be on one page and have everything they need there. There's in-kind or passive gifts. So that could be something we talked about on your organizational one-pager. Maybe you need a lawyer who can do contract reading for you, or a contractor, or there's maybe an accountant. If you need those in-kind gifts, that could be there. Plan gift, those are your legacy gifts. So that's it. We made it. We actually made it through the fundraising journey map. I'm so excited. I wish I could have talked more about some of these things, but I think I've been able to wet your whistle a little bit. Hopefully giving you some new advice, some tips, some things for you to consider as you're moving forward, as you're building out your fundraising strategy within your organization, so you can raise more funds and then use those new funds to achieve more results.